For each and every one of us, it's a very exciting time because we get to pioneer into new territory and to explore what it means. If you just take a moment, those of you that are not on your mobile device or your BlackBerry, you will notice the following. We live in a time that we are on 24/7 every single day of the year. If somebody's not texting you, they're emailing you or they're calling you because they want a sense of immediacy and they want you to respond to them on their time, when they connect with you, the way they want it. We live in a global environment where everything that is said is immediately ignited throughout every corner of the universe. We understand that in today's day and age, opinion matters. As a matter of fact, when you have journalists actually quoting bloggers and validating a point of view, we know we're all in trouble. And lastly, we clearly understand we live in a world that is televised live as it's happening, folks. And in that situation, we really need to understand where the consumer sits in today's environment. What stimulates them, what inspires them, what motivates them. And at Draftfcb, we're all about the intersection of science and creativity, trying to disclose one key thing. What is the human condition and their behavior, and how do they make decisions? Do they make decisions based on their emotion and then backfill it with rational thought? Or do they make it rationally and then emotionally connect with those decisions? If we were to have a muse, that muse would be Leonardo da Vinci. Yes, you thought I was going to say Leonardo DiCaprio. But it's Da Vinci. And why? Because to some, he is an artist that's inspired by science. And they're right. To others, he's a scientist that's inspired by art. They're also right. That critical intersection where art and science connect. And we have somebody today that I'll be introducing you to, Jonah Lehrer, who's probably one of the leading authorities. He is the author of Proust, was a neuroscientist, and How We Decide. He's a contributing editor of Wired and a regular contributor to the New York Times, the New Yorker, and the Wall Street Journal. He's been hailed as an important new thinker by the Los Angeles Times and something of a popular science protege by the New York Times. I want to share with you one excerpt from his book, Proust Was a Neuroscientist.
I think one thing neuroscience can contribute to this conversation is that we've been obsessed with categorizing people for so long, breaking us all into chunks of humanity, then stereotyping those chunks. But I think one thing neuroscience teaches us is that even when these stereotypes are true about men, women, or whatever those chunks are, those groups are, those differences between groups are overwhelmed by the differences in the individual within the same person in different situations. So let me give you an example from creativity. So you can put one person, take the same person, put them in a red room and a blue room. And what you discover if you give them various tests of insight, so say remote associate problems, they will have twice as many insights in the blue room as opposed to the red room. And the reason is simple. What does red make us think about? Stop signs, blood, danger, the red pens of editors. It makes us more attentive and alert, more vigilant. Now, that is very good for some kinds of tasks, but it's really bad for moments of insight. Blue, on the other hand, makes us think about the beach, the wide open sky, the ocean. We are naturally more relaxed. Our mind is a little less constricted, more associative. And that's why we score twice as well on tests of insight. Now, I would love to stand up here and tell you that the way to solve every creative problem is to take a long, warm shower. That relaxation is always the best approach. That would be wonderful if that were true. But in the real world, it turns out that's not the case. Sometimes we really should be at our desk. Sometimes attention is essential. I think it's another thing neuroscience can teach us about creativity, that for so long we've been referring to creativity in the singular, as if there's only one way to imagine something new. But what the brain does, the brain, this marvelous category buster, is it shows us that creativity is actually a plural. It's a plural verb, that there's so many different ways of coming up with new ideas. And our job is to make sure we're thinking in the right way at the right time, that we're applying the right mental tool to the task at hand. To illustrate this other kind of creativity, at least in the individual mind, I'd like to tell you another story. So it takes place about 8 years ago, and it stars a man named Mohan Srivastava. He's a geological statistician living in Toronto. Very, very bright guy, PhDs from MIT and Stanford. And for his 40th birthday, he was given a joke gift of $100 worth of scratch lottery tickets, tic-tac-toe scratch lottery tickets. You know, Mo's a statistician, so he's always joked that the lottery is a tax on stupid people. So his racquetball partner thought this would be a funny gift. And so, sure enough, he gives Mo these tickets. Mo laughs. Then he proceeds to lose these tickets amid the mess of piles of papers on his desk. He's got a very, very messy office. A couple weeks go by. Mo is waiting for a big file of data to download. Starts cleaning up his office, moving some piles of paper around, and he rediscovers these scratch lottery tickets. He says, oh, God, I'm so bored, I may as well scratch a few off. Begins scratching. The first tickets are all losers, which only confirms his belief that the lottery is a waste of time. But then he gets a winning ticket, just a small winner, $5, but he is so irrationally thrilled that he wants to cash it in right away. So he walks down to the local mini-mart for his free chips and coffee. That's where he's going to spend his $5 on. Cashes in his ticket. He's so happy. On his way back, Mo starts thinking about how they might have designed this lottery ticket. And here I have to digress for a second and tell you about modern lottery tickets, in case you guys don't play religiously.